into top lane is actually a massive issue for FPX, because that's just been such a big pocket pick for them historically. Like, that sucks. That sucks for FPX.
Yeah. That's true. I hadn't quite considered that because, yeah, and of course when they're on the red side as well, they have to deny it from the enemy team. It just sucks on that kind of level. So it's going to be Haichao, also lovingly known as Xiaovi in the Chinese community, locking in that Tristana. Genuinely, apparently, he's called Xiaovi on like Chinese community forums and stuff. So FPX going to answer with Ashe, Leona, very, very heavy CC, and also with the Brawl being banned, they don't have to worry about the Leona being answered like for like in support role.
Yeah.
Leona only really struggles into that Brawl.
I have to say as well, like, I love this rotation from FPX, because sure, you've allowed through the Ezreal and the Tristana, which are big power picks of their own. However, like, Leona Ashe, like, your engage is sorted. You've not got issues of vision with the hawk shots. You've got long range engage, you've got short range engage, you've got follow up for your engage. Like, so many of the issues we see with LPL compositions are already ticked for FPX in just 2 picks. Care is hovering the Qiyana. I don't expect that to go on through. But there is an angle for pocket picks, right? If you're up against the Tristana, you need to do something. Care has played his melee assassins in the past. Whether or not that's realistically going to come through, we'll have to see. Oh, come on, man. Come on. You can't do that to us.
Oh, like, I know he has played the Qiyana.
He's evil.
Even in recent history, he has played that Qiyana the last, I seem to remember it either last year at some point during that, but man, I'm just so sick of Corki Tristana, even compared to like the Lucian lanes. I feel like at least Lucian lanes with that are slightly more interactive. I bang on about that every cast though, so sadly we're back to this thing again. Haichao over on the Tristana, Cap over on that Corki. I guess we're just kind of going like for like in regards to that. No jungle bans so far, importantly, so it looks like we'll continue to have no jungle bans. Both sides need to lock in some magic damage somewhere, which means you're likely looking for that in the jungle, especially with the cannon being banned out. There aren't really other magic damage sources from that top lane. The run below the cannon is realistically what you're looking for there, which is going to means it's going to fall down to the junglers now to bring up some magic damage.
Just they gone, and you just mentioned the junglers. The Zyra will be banned away. Brand's still available, Lilia still available. It will just be a Cassante ban though, trying to set Burdol up. I wonder if they'll be able to find an Aatrox matchup for him. We did see one little game of Aatrox earlier on in the split, and actually it was good. It was a good Aatrox game. I don't think it was Burdol. I can't remember who played that one, but it was miraculously quite a good Aatrox game. I think that was against the Kennen, if I remember right. Deokdam
Yes, it was.
Going to slam that Brand on behalf of MilkyWay.
We have so many games in the LPL, it can be quite hard to pin down individual ones. You remember a couple of flashes in your mind from what happened there. It's going to be the Meteor Lilia, which can help him with the engage, and then you get yourself that Chase. Chase, lane bully in that top side. You can play towards it with the Lilia fairly effectively with the AD/AP, quite long range poke duo because they can both throw out their skill shots quite well. ZTC, so you're just going to go towards a tank into that Chase. Typically, if you're going to go carry versus carry up there, you'd prefer to have something like that cannon. You would like to have yourself some extra frontline. It's going to be on into the Chase. That's going to be some good backline access. I think it's quite, look, put it this way, folks, FPX very obviously have the engage. That's the obvious thing. They've got the Ashe Leona, they have the Ornn. Engage is something they can do very, very well. I need to see if they can make it through an early game where, you know, Chase, Tristana are probably going to get their easy push in and unlocking Meteor to play aggressively. LGD typically have not had the best early games. They did have some decent early games, even versus BLG in that lost series. FPX, I think maybe they're the ones which want to chill, get an item, look for the first big fights once you have those ultimates, which means that they aren't indexing into those early games themselves, and maybe just looking to play a little bit later into the game with their big ultimates.
I think the funniest thing about... Oh, no! Oh, the handshake fumble. One went for a handshake, then the other one didn't. Oh, God. It gets away
Renata
from
Glask
you.
is crying in the club right now. No one can handshake.
Disaster. One thing I will say, Ornn locked in for the top lane. It's weird. It doesn't feel like a top laner anymore. It's a long while since I've seen Ornn regularly played up in that top side. ZDZ going to bring it to the table here. Like you say, FunPlus Phoenix, plenty of team fighting to work with here. LGD, though, this is a composition that either wins really hard or loses really hard. If you lose control of the map, how are you ever going to face check anything? It's going to be impossible. But we'll have to see, because lane advantages galore should be on the docket for LGD. We'll see if they can leverage them, if they can find those advantages and snowball, looking towards Meteor to be the driving force here. He's got Prio in so many lanes. He's got a Lilia to work with. We'll see if he can find his advantage over arguably the rookie of the year in MilkyWay. It's time for game number 1 between FPX and LGD for redemption in Group Ascent. Got a little confused there, but there's enthusiasm. That's what we want.
I think there were multiple people trying to lead. Have we got like a civil war between the crowd chant leaders? I feel like I heard multiple people calling out for that. That's scenes, drama. You don't get this anywhere else. Like, it's only here.
Cheerleaders is a totally different phrase in China. They are literally the people leading the cheer. No pom-poms involved whatsoever. Yeah, a little bit of contention there in the early game. Not even from the players. You don't expect to see that often.
Yeah. You know, it's only just struck me as well that within 2 series we have had all of the LPL World Championship winning organizations playing back-to-back. EDG and IG the last one, FPX and this one. All 3 playing back-to-back series.
I've got a fun fact about that, actually. I've got many fun facts locked away in this noggin, but the new format, you know how each stage has a different name, and how we've got Group Ascend versus Group Nirvana, and then we've got the Knights series to decide who makes it to playoffs. Well, the 3 names, or at least, I don't know if this is outright the fact or whether or not it's a fan theory, but the names are based on the World Championship winners from the LPL. So you've got Group Ascend as IG were the first ones to ascend to the top in the name of the LPL. You've got Group Nirvana, which, you know, Nirvana typically, it means essentially hell in Buddhism, but in Mandarin, colloquially, it means redemption, to rise from the ashes. So hence Phoenix, FunPlus Phoenix were the second winners. And then the EDG are regularly referred to by the Chinese fans as the Knights of the LPL. And so 3rd World Championship winners, they get that playoff play-in series that's called the Knights.
Yeah, they're like the Silver Knights or something, right? Where you can see that very obviously within EDG's skin line too from the World Championship. That's really cool. Of course, Nevada is like the cycle of reincarnation, where you get a second go of it, see if you can get yourself back on the right track. Like very grossly oversimplifying a whole lot of like philosophy and theology and stuff like that. But yeah, I like that. That's kind of fun. I have to say, I was sat there thinking like, well, okay, these I don't mind flowery names within esports. Let's be honest. I think sometimes it's nice to have that grandiose kind of nomenclature and stuff like that, because it just makes it sound more fun, and I don't mind that. Look, we're in a fancy video game. We get to have ourselves some fancy the naming sense as well. Haichao.
Scott Valkyrie just holds his nerve, doesn't move to the swirl seat, misses. Gets away with his life, but it means Haichao can trade more evenly back towards Care. Care doing really well in the early stage of this lane against the Tristana. Letting that Tristana go through, remember, and yet still managing to win out the matchup so far as MilkyWay's moved into the bottom lane. This feels a little scary for LGD. Really only 3 minions, but it's enough minions as life under the tower, though. Good damage from Kepler to return the kill.
Yeah, so it's a 1-for-1, and I was definitely wondering whether they could pull that off at all. It is a good kill onto MilkyWay, and we know exactly how much Brand can do in pretty much any game. Brand is a disgusting champion, but giving an early kill back over to the side of LGD as well, not necessarily what you want. Also, you don't get to kill that AD carry, so you're not getting the extra XP advantage by denying their minions. Burdol, good early trade to expect that into the Ornn. Meteor's up here towards top side. MilkyWay will potentially be here in time, so it's not going to be a dive. Instead, it's just going to be a camp steal away.
It's going to be attempted. MilkyWay's got his smite available. Can he steal it? No! Meteor grabs that one, but MilkyWay will get the majority of those mini Krugs, and he's got 4 of them. I think in the grand scheme of things, though, that bot lane dive, I think, does still favor FPX. Hang on, Kepler narrowly avoids the Zenith blade, and a hook comes in from JinJiao instead, as Kepler gets some more damage down onto life. He's forwards, misses the Q. But all things considered, the kill going on to JinJiao is the point I'm trying to make, means that with a kill to MilkyWay, probably still good for FPX.
Also, another thing we haven't mentioned as well here is this Kepler starting instead of Shaoye. Shaoye's been playing the majority of games for LGD. That kind of sideswiped me a little bit, just loaded. It's like, oh yeah, Kepler. Yeah, he's a player for... Hang on a second, where's Shaoye gone? I think Shaoye... Yeah, Shaoye has had some weaker games this summer. I feel like, particularly in late game, he was a player that got caught out a significant amount. The fact that Kepler's coming in just reminds you of the fact that technically Shaoye and Kepler are playing for the starting spot on this roster, so we'll put some extra attention towards his performance to see if we, off the rip, kind of view him and Shaoye in any particular favor or not. Meteor now going towards bot side after visiting top side just a little earlier. It's going to be going in from Life.
Swirl scene lands, but Life goes straight onto JinJiao. I'm not sure if he'll make it back out of that one. The burn on JinJiao. MilkyWay's got some damage, Deokdam too, but they can't really chase anyone down. And it will just be another kill for LGD. These attempted plays at the bot side for FPX really not working out.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd go for a an aggressive positioning there when you know that Meteor's clearing a ward about 10 meters north of you, so that's not the play. The fact that he manages to go down there, and this time the kill does go up to Kepler. All of that play which he made towards that bot lane dive really doesn't work out in your favor. This time MilkyWay does manage to get himself towards that dragon. He'll be happy to stack that one up nice and early, but because he's down there, because mid lane trading very hard, maybe that opens up an option for Meteor to go towards the grubs on spawn. Life and MilkyWay though, roaming, and JinJiao not quite there on the top side map just yet. Just here in the mid lane does mean that it could be contested.
Meteor starting it, MilkyWay wants to get in. It reminds me of the Crooks all those seconds ago.
Oh, such a long time ago.
I know, yeah, memories, man. Like, good times. JinJiao goes forward. He's taking damage from 3, but MilkyWay's overstepped his bounds here. The bomb explodes, and Haichao has a reset, jumps towards Life. I wasn't sure if he'd go for care there, but holds his nerve, doesn't overcommit to things. And that is just literally a level 6 diff.
It is. Meteor gets to level 6 off of that first Krug. No, the Krug. The memories, they're too strong. The Grugs. They give him the level 6 in that first one. Of course, he gives you the double XP for the first one taken. So MilkyWay would have had his level 6 if he'd been the first one to get towards that. But that's what they gave up. Life is still on this top side, but he has no mid lane. Well, he has a mid laner now. Doesn't have top lane, kind of just over ZDC. With Ignite, with ult, this could still be a fight. But Burdol's keeping him out of the rhythm.
I love that Meteor didn't smite that at 600, but then did smite it at 50 health instead. Still manages to get the third grub, but controversial saving of the smite, and then finally does secure it in the end. So, attempted contestation from FPX, and we said, this is a game that could really explode, and it does feel like both teams are really keen to fight, really keen to exert pressure on this series.
I'm somewhat surprised. Hang on, that's an arrow. We'll see if that one goes through. If it hits the Jace, that is a big win.
Good. Oh, but Burdol dives in just as the arrow comes forward. Now a chance for CDZ, but a flash from Burdol. He dodges everything.
So he manages to get that phase rush, which allows him to disengage effectively. Does blow that flash. Jace without a flash is a very, very sad top laner if you focus onto him. So maybe a place to return, but not a place where they get themselves that first kill. So, is it going to be the Scuttle Crab and that? It's the Scuttle Crab which gives him the level 6. I thought it was the first grub, so he ends up getting that one too, and gets that level 6. Just dunks down with that first ult, allows Haichao to reset. So it was a camp which got him a level 6, but it was the fact that he managed to leash both the Scuttle Crab and the grubs at the same time.
Really nice from Meteor. Smart play coming out from him. And I honestly think maybe Haichao could have jumped onto care there and looked for a second kill, but not wanting to overstep it. And to be honest, I think that is a wise decision from the side of LGD. Advantages are going well for you early. Meteor has gone over a ward as he makes his way towards this bottom side, but wave going to be cleared here by Deokdam, so no chance of a dive. I don't think there's much of a chance for Meteor to really get in the jungle either. Dodges away from the damage from MilkyWay, and that's a Hex Flash from JinJiao, but doesn't commit. In the meantime, Care and Haichao just absolutely duking it out in the mid lane. Everything blown as MilkyWay gets some damage onto JinJiao. And it's finally a pick as Kepler, now slowed by Deokdam. It's so hard to escape from the Ash. You can never escape from the Ash. Flash comes up through. Kepler still slowed. The cleanse isn't enough. And Deokdam just a solo kill.
And just so many skill shots going wide from Kepler. His opponent duck, dodge, dip, dives, and Deokdams his way through to a kill here on the bottom side of the map. 2-0 and 1. That approach velocity so disgusting on this Ashe as FPX find themselves big play in this bot side. They've been really trying to funnel gold in towards this bot lane. And this kind of play in the bot side river really helps them. They end up getting a hook onto MilkyWay, but, you know, life is there and time commits the flash. And, you know, Meteor, he does have the ult, but at that point, he's effectively realized the fight's over. Kepler misses his Q. The E's out of range, so he can't get the damage back. So realistically, he's never trading damage back there. The slows, the continual slows in the approach velocity mean that if you don't manage to cleanly get away from the Ashe, she will chase you. Indeed she did.
Certainly did. I feel like we just witnessed the bone saw right there, because as soon as Kepler got hit by that first auto attack, he was going nowhere. And then tries to flash, tries to use his cleanse.
Is this a rare reference? I don't know.
That was a reference to the first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire. It's in the wrestling ring, and we're in the wrestling ring on the top side. It's the true shot barrage from Kepler. Snipes out MilkyWay. Double W as well from Meteor, as this is all going the way of LGD. JinJiao just about surviving as life is pulled back in and finished off. And now ZDZ realizes there's nowhere to run, no flash available. Bopped on down, and Haichao finishes the job.
With great power comes great possibilities for LGD. They smashed through the top side of the map. It has been a very active early game on both sides. We did talk about how these junglers tend to orchestrate the early game in a big way for both their teams. Meteor continually dancing in and out of these fights with the move speed from those blooming blows has been so problematic for FPX. They are going to get themselves a contest onto these grubs. Potentially, they're moving up as 4-man strong.
4 grubs regardless, though, for LGD. Honestly, even if they don't get another, I'm quite happy with how that one's gone, especially with a hard commit to that top side from FPX. Mid-prio from that Ezreal. This could be a Drake opportunity for LGD, but let's go back to what happened on this top side. MilkyWay steps up to Burdol to start it off. The arrow dodged once again from Burdol, and then JinJiao saves the day.
Absolutely. You know, the form change, movement speed gets so much for Burdol, gets the Eclipse Shield. It just means that he gets to survive through to Venom Point. The ult coming through from Meteor was so easy to get because it took such a long time to kill that chase. JinJiao managed to get himself that last shield to survive through in that one. And, you know, LGD, credit to them. I've criticized their early games an awful lot through the Ascension group so far. This has been much, much better for them, and it feels like now they're in a good position to start getting towards big item break points and see if they can continue their skirmish, scrappy playstyle so far.
Fundamentally a 3v4 for most of that as well, with Haichao TPing in at the end, which zones ZDZ away a little bit and secured those final 2 kills. All things considered, LGD, really, really good start. The 2,000 gold up as well as Drake on the map. LGD didn't get to just immediately blast the Drake off the back of the commitment to grubs from FPX. So it will be potentially contested as Haichao finishes off his cult as well. There's a little bit of timing there, but obviously won't be able to spend that gold until he resets. You don't really want to be resetting unless they are going to just concede this Drake.
Seems like JinJiao going towards this top side might signal the fact that they are, but with MilkyWay also resetting, it's just not going to be a take on Spawn. That's a little less common because we have 2 AP farming junglers, much like the Barret. We've seen a lot of 20-minute Barret rushes, particularly from the Zyra, but any AP jungler can threaten that. Same with the Dragon. When you have these Leandries, max HP, burn junglers, you typically expect objectives to not really exist more than a minute. Sometimes you'll angle towards that fight, but it's so easy to take them down there. Seeing it delayed a little bit, I think it shows the mentality of both these teams, where you see this more when you have the hard forcing junglers like the Vi or Xioalaohu or something like that. You're looking for the kills and you're looking for the fights more than that. The Herald has now been started by FPX. They are going to go towards one of those objectives. LGD, they're not angling for a fight themselves as it currently stands. They're instead pushing in the mid lane. They haven't even looked towards the Dragon just yet. I want to see if they're angling towards a fight. Use this lane priority to get themselves a little bit of vision and then see if they can get into FPX's face.
Feels like we've sort of stalled out a little bit here, doesn't it? We had such an aggressive first few minutes of the game, and then suddenly both teams are going, okay, that was good fun. We enjoyed that, but let's just take a moment and recalibrate. And FPX feels like trying to get some control of the map on that top side, but Haichao easily able to, I was going to say trade, but actually the tower's still not got down on that top side. So despite the presence there from Life and from MilkyWay, with JinJiao moving up, we've still not quite been able to finish the job. Next wave could be the one though. Care can move on up. Burdol might be able to clear that wave as the dragon taken. And there we go. It will be traded. Herald, remember, still in pocket for MilkyWay, so could maybe move mid with that.
Burdol backs off from that turret. I think it's... Yeah, let's take this time to talk about Burdol a little bit. Because Burdol is such an interesting player to me. And has been in this last year for LGD, because he started off in spring being an incredibly potent force for LGD, where he was the lethality Aatrox player who would flank the team fights, and when LGD were winning games, it was largely through Burdol and his team fight flanks in spring. That was the case.
K'Sante too was fantastic.
Yeah, K'Sante as well was really big. But I feel like him getting those big team fight flanks was how LGD won games back. I think LGD had a rough start to summer because they had to reinvent their style. The Aatrox is out of the picture. That was one of their big tools that they used to do with that. And they were struggling to have Burdol play the Skarner in the front line. He did do a good job of kind of going over towards more the front line slash kind of utility kind of picks to be someone who could CC, someone that could tank in the front line. It's interesting to me now, particularly because they changed their style.
Gage in the jungle. Life might have overstepped his bounds here. Hook goes wide. JinJiao, the root is enough, and Life goes down. Pyroclasm across the team, and perhaps a chance for FPX as ZDZ blows the horn. Looks for a knockup, but he's maybe overstepped as the rest of FPX just abandoned ship on the play.
Yeah.
ZDZ wanted more. No one else did.
My mistake for thinking we're going to a quiet phase again. What are we fighting over, folks? What are we fighting over? We're just randomly playing a fight around the enemy red buff, and what that ends up being a kill over. Care teleports towards that top side, and I was just saying that LGD, they changed their style back towards Burdol carrying. He wasn't necessarily the hugest part of that last part, but FPX just choosing to shut us up for a little bit. Up the tempo just a little bit more. Don't get the hugest amount for it, and Care does blow his teleport through that. Again, so LGD, they now have themselves both globals up on their solo laners. Maybe they can make a big play here. Life was hiding in this, so I don't really get why they would go towards that. Life, I think he thought that the W wouldn't come through for the Lilia, so the watch out he's going to carries him out of the solar flare back in towards the fight.
There's another fight going on. There's two are already gone down. Care now trying to get DPS out, but there's a bomb going up both sides as Burdol now gets a shock blast. I guess we're just going to trade support.
Yeah.
I guess every time we see each other now, we're just going to trade supports.
This is the window into how you do some casting, right? A lot of the time you try and judge whether anything is going to happen in the next like 30 seconds to a minute. You try and think of a topic which fits that kind of time zone, and you then try to fill it up as best as possible. I thought we'd have nothing for a bit. We had a really active early game and then nothing for like 5 minutes beyond that point. Forgive us for thinking that maybe things would quiet down a little bit. And suddenly, blam, blam, 2 fights right off the back of it. Come out and replay into another big fight. Starts off with a hook, and Meteor getting that swell seed on, applying that DOT so early, really does affect that first kill. Life already not as tanky as he maybe thinks he should be. He doesn't even have himself something like those Mercury threads yet. Because he's a sitting duck for that burn.
You can sort of see the logic there for JinJiao thinking he'd be able to get the fast pick, but with the Ashe in there as well, the CC chain that is returned onto JinJiao ends up being a 1-for-1. Life having a tough game for himself at 0-5 so far.
Yeah.
I mean, that is inevitably, the support life of you are going to be the first one going in. However, I'm not sure that all of these go-ins were necessarily the best go-ins.
Yeah, there's a difference between... So there are some games where you have a really bad KDA on engaged support because you are experiencing losing League of Legends, where you are the person where you are the indicator for how badly these fights have gone. This one, because the game is still, or has been a lot of it, quite evenly fought between the two teams, this one feels a little bit different to that. So, Life being 0-5, he is going to have to choose his angles a lot more effectively. He does have a solar flare back up. There's a Herald in the mid lane. We could see another fight brewing very quickly because the Dragon is up in a minute. LGD, though, they should feel pretty strong.
Herald comes down and won't be able to finish this tower off. Drake coming up in 30 seconds time. And honestly, I have no idea if he takes it at this point. This has just been an absolute
Yeah.
scrap. I will say, big gold lead for LGD, and TPing in is Burdol on the top side. He's just upgraded his Moramana. That's a big true shot barrage. Shock blast onto Care, potentially hits the shot. Care is sent packing with no TP. That should be Drake for LGD.
Yeah, and that is one of the big differences between these two teams. FPX have the engage, LGD have the range, and they have the poke. Now, I was wondering whether we'd see that around the Dragon, when poke happened too quickly for us to even set up around the Dragon. Dragon has spawned, and already FPX have had to disengage. I think this is the right call from them. Look, I am a big hater of just turning up to a river and watching an objective get taken. That is one of the worst things you can do in Pro League of Legends. You can be doing better things with your time. You can be cross-mapping. As you can see right now, MilkyWay can be farming. FPX didn't have to be there to watch that Dragon die, and they do end up peeling off after they take that poke. They realize, okay, we can't fight, let's go do something else. Meteor's going to get himself into the enemy jungle, see if he can steal blue.
Can't do it, but he can get a sleep onto MilkyWay, and while he's dreaming, everything flies in his direction. It's turned into a nightmare for FPX, but TDZ has managed to find one for himself, and the Burdol onto Meteor sets up for a solar flare execution. Talk about sunburn, and here comes Care on the bottom side. What a fight for FPX!
FPX have a plan A, a plan B, and apparently a plan ZDZ. The replacement top player coming in for FunPlus Phoenix, making a huge impact in that fight. Now they're going to teleport towards the top side of the map. They get the kills. They're going to get the Baron off of this. This felt like LGD were in control. They were in the driver's seat. And suddenly FPX turned on, even without MilkyWay at the plate. They're going to look to burn down the Baron.
What a swing from FPX. Burdol is here. He's got some poke, but he's in a 1v4. There's no smite right now, but it won't matter because Burdol just gets forced away by life. He's done enough though. Baron peeled away from, and Burdol has bought his team time.
Yeah, it's ended up being Deokdam tanking the Baron. That's what ends up making the difference there. ZDZ, you kind of need him on that Baron to make sure you don't take enough damage from that one. Meteor gets a really good swell seed at the start of this, and typically when you get a swell seed onto the Baron, you expect the fight to be over, but he gets the Pyroclasm onto the surrounding team. You can see that it procs 1 brand passive, 2 brand passive, 3 brand... I'm not Sesame Street at this point. ZDZ ends up getting the CC after this point, and you know, that was in the last game.
Yeah.
Get themselves another one in this one. FPX get themselves a really good turnaround. ZDZ and MilkyWay, they get the damage down.
Oh dear, the Count makes his entrance into the LPL. I mean, double MVP in the first series. It only makes sense. 10-10. What an absolute slobber knocker of a game here. It's a 2,000 gold lead for LGD. I just want to quickly point out, while I've got a split second to talk about it, Deokdam has a really weird Ashe build where he goes for Shiv.
Yes.
He's like the only one in the league that does this. I just double checked. He is literally the only one in the league that does this. It's like Shiv into Kraken Slate into Terminus was the build he did it last time. It's a weird one. It's not one you see often. It's not one you see in solo queue. It does give you a little bit more mid-prio. But aside from that, you kind of just do less damage.
Yeah, it's a weird one. That's going to be a combo on JinJiao, but not that much. I mean, we saw Ruler's build be, and the majority of builds being Kraken Slayer into Phantom Dancer. It gives you a lot of move speed, that build. This one gives you more priority to move first, so even though your individual mobility is slightly less, you should be moving a little bit earlier, which can help you get onto the map and help you make those bigger map plays and arrive to the play potentially first. Going to shove it towards that mid lane. That's not a great hook.
Oh no, JinJiao, that was... not the one. Not the one at all. Life has to tank it. He's got a Warmog, so he'll be back up to full HP, and FPX suddenly, with the support down on LGD, maybe with a chance to just start a Baron. There's no Drake on the other side to threaten a trade. LGD now against the rock and a hard place.
Now that's going to be Swell Seed going wide. If Swell Seed hits the next one, everything is someone off the vision.
Life was on a flank. Burdol ended up spotting it out. Perhaps he's done enough to deny Baron once more, but this time he's caught. This time he goes down to CDC. Gets Kepler out of dodge as well. And FPX can just rinse and repeat.
I thought that maybe FPX had chosen the wrong targets. They used the Orn ult onto different targets than the Jace. Jace had the phase rush, but it's not enough. Where's this next Swell Seed going? If this hits, this could be huge.
Oh, it hit onto MilkyWay. It hit onto MilkyWay. The sleep on the back line, but in the meantime, they've already got one. FPX just pull the trigger, and LGD are blown to smithereens. Meteor trying to move forward. The health bars are pretty low on the side of FPX. MilkyWay, one auto away, but the Baron, luckily for him, picks different targets. I mean, this couldn't be closer.
Yeah, that's 2 swell seeds from Meteor, which might have even saved the game at this point. If you end up losing that fight and losing another Baron, I think FPX probably just blow open the game. The first Baron got them back to near enough even. The second one would have got them hugely into the advantage. So those swell seeds from Meteor really, really saving LGD's bacon. FPX all the same though, they managed to get themselves some kills, but they just can't get that big objective. And now Dragon's up in 30 seconds. We are going to have Haichao with teleport. He can make it to the play with his 3 items. Those 3 items did save him, of course, around that Baron. We'll now see whether this objective can really be started up in earnest. Not soul point for either team, so Baron's still going to be the focus right now.
Meteor stunned and instantly a TP from Haichao on the top side of the play, looking for some kind of miracle, looking to jump in live, has a bomb on his head and moves into the rest of his team, as that will already do that much damage, to be honest. FPX now with a chance for a re-engage. Double knock comes up through, Meteor stunned up, but look at the depth charge from JinJiao, sends everyone away. It's going to be 1 kill as Burdol falls. That's a second one, both to MilkyWay. But LGD still threatening enough to deny any objective.
These fights are so close because the fights aren't won cleanly enough with enough HP bars remaining to take any of the big objectives either side of the map. Both of these teams have been struggling in the Ascension group. This series is important to show that they do belong up here with the top dogs of the LPL. LGD, they lose another couple of kills, but they go straight towards the objective. Meteor burning it down, and FPX, they're junglers on the blue bar.
LGD didn't hear no bell. They go again straight onto Baron. Live trying to deny the escape as the rest of FPX move over. Care has been tanking the Baron though, so he's kind of chunked as JinJiao arrives. Hex Flash into the play as ZDZ is chunked. Care dodges the hook, it hits the wall instead, and Live walks away with his life as well. Burdol now on the bottom side of the fight. 3-man shock blast, but can LGD close the gap? Deokdam is found! The sleep turns it into 2 as Burdol will burn to a crisp and maybe turns into more. Haichao flashes for a little bit of a victory lap, and that'll turn into finally a Baron.
Finally, LGD get themselves enough kills with enough HP bars remaining to go towards a big objective. They're going to claim the Baron, and they're going to get themselves maybe the accelerating play which they need. FPX, they've been giving them a really good fight. MilkyWay does have flash, you can potentially look for a steal.
Pyroclasm is up as well. Pyroclasm is up, and they're all in the pit right now. That's going to be damage, but MilkyWay goes down. ZDZ finds one, but that's all of it. Wait, no! The Baron! Oh, the Pyroclasm and the Baron on top! The burns work it out for FPX!
But we were wrong! LGD didn't get themselves a clean enough fight to get the Baron. MilkyWay's ult chunks them out so much that Haichao dies to the objective they thought they had earned. Where are we starting this replay? Alright, what are these river fights where JinJiao gets on to life and, you know, LGD, they've managed to get themselves really good successive fights without clean resets coming in from FPX because they're using these teleports to keep forcing over and over. ZDZ thinks that maybe he got himself a good enough knock-up there. He does get straight onto Meteor, but Meteor immediately gets a swell seed onto the backline. I do think that Burdol has been focused out well by FPX. He struggled to get himself the team fight Jace value. And this is maybe one of the reasons why this pick has not been used as much. And the fights just keep going. It's just teleport after teleport to keep things going before the resets really clearly come through.
Tough for Burdol. He sees his angle on Deokdam there, but Shock Blast goes wide, so doesn't have to kill it. JinJiao hits that hook as well. That's a 1 fight right there. Then the chase down. Burdol hits that Shock Blast big time, but the sleep onto Deokdam is what seals it.
You know, the more I watch these replays, the more I'm really appreciating what these junglers are doing against you. We knew this matchup was going to be important. Haichao gets a kill there at the end, but you know, Meteor, he has himself that ult again. He has himself the Zhonya's now.
Sleep on MilkyWay once again. Shock Blast goes on through onto FPX superstar jungler, and he's got an upgraded Liandry's, by the way. That is, I don't know if it's still called Liandry's Anguish. I'm going to just assume that it is. Or maybe that was the mythic version. I don't know. I've lost track at this point.
It's one of them.
It's upgraded.
Same.
It's the point. It's upgraded,
yeah,
and it'll do damage.
One of the saddest things is that they're just removing the unique names for the odd items. They're just calling them Masterwork instead. And like, I know that the Masterwork items, I liked having the weird names. It was a nice little extra bit. Like, when else would you have heard the word Syzygy with the Eclipse upgrade before? Yeah, small things. especially in the context of this game, probably more important things to be talking about rather than that, but still, you got yourselves a couple of extra item upgrades, which means that you have yourself an extra basically 3,000 stats with the 3 items upgraded. FPX, that is going to put them, in fact, in terms of active gold, slightly ahead of LGD.
I can't believe FPX have so much frontline, and yet it's Deokdam and MilkyWay that keep getting chunked by all this poke that's coming out. I mean, this composition from LGD feels so difficult to stay in any contention with when there's so much damage flying towards you, and this is finally going to be a Baron MilkyWay. I think he wants to try and move over, but he's too late. Realizes it at the last possible second. Now ZDZ pulls the trigger for a fight, flashes to find the knockup, double knockup in fact, is JinJiao the target. FPX get one as Meteor on the front line now, but Burdol takes care out on the backside. It means life is left alone for Kepler to finish off. Meteor grabs the kill as Haichao looks to threaten once again. Bomb onto ZDZ's head, and he's got some damage as well. ZDZ forced away as Haichao looks for more rockets from FPX. And LGD 1-for-1 with the Baron. You'll take that every day of the week.
You know, FPX see the Baron go down, they look for a snap engage to remove those Baron buffs, and they only get one. That's a problem now, because they're not going to be able to reset quicker than LGD, they're not going to be able to cross-map. They look for that fight after the Baron, they don't really find it. Now LGD, they get to reset, they get themselves more items. Third item just hit by Burdol, and he's been doing a lot of poke damage in the last few fights as well. That's only going to get worse beyond this point. MilkyWay chooses not to flash over for a steal. He puts the W in instead. ZDZ gets a decent CC combo. Where's the follow-up? You know, you get the Ash Arrow, but realistically, if your only kill is on this and the team fight ensues after that point, you are happy as LGD because the Nautilus isn't giving the extended value in the team fights. Burdol, Haichao, they are giving that extended value. Kepler as well with his own CDs. Really feels like LGD are getting the better of FPX finally in consistent team fights. It has been close. It's been a really good scrap between these two teams, but FPX have not been able to put the nails in the coffin when asked.
I will say, we're still in touching distance gold-wise, and with all items in as well. It really does feel like this one's even. It really does feel like these fights could go either way with a good Pyroclasm, with a good Ornal. Still very possible for FPX. Baron Siege in this bottom side could lead to, hang on, we've got maybe a solo kill. Burdol forced a flash on the top side of the map as well. True shot barrage is nowhere near. It's nowhere near. It's not going to hit that one. And so both solo laners back away. That was top tower taken by FPX, and the tier 2 was not taken despite the Baron for LGD.
Which means that it's only a slight gold advantage for LGD. They do get themselves the Dragon off the back of it, and now with a minute remaining on the Dragon timer, you'll be able to make the use of this last 40 seconds of the Baron and use that as priority to get yourself towards that Dragon, potentially get yourself Cloud Soul. But is that going to be enough to really seal the game? These Orn items are really making this very, very close. This gold is not it's not the be-all and end-all, and I think that gold, after a while, gold becomes a bit decorative. It's about how easy your damage it goes down, how easy you get the targets which you want to, how strong your front line is on the other side too. FPX, definitely the stronger front line, but LGD have the bigger range. If they can weave their skill shots around that front line, get onto the back line, I don't think it particularly matters how tanky ZDZ potentially life can be as well. Burdol hits one.
Oh, Life finds his angle onto Burdol, though the Solar Flare is down, and Burdol removed from the play, but now the counterpunch from LGD as they move in, but they've dropped ZDZ by so much time and space. It's only a 2-for-1. With Burdol and JinJiao gone and Life surviving with Warmogs in pocket, that should be a trade for FPX.
FPX have the engage, LGD have the range. The range doesn't end up surviving for long enough for so FPX managed to get themselves onto the targets they need. Meteor doesn't have flash, doesn't have ult. How much can he do?
Straight onto the backside, Meteor caught here by Life. Great engage there, but a lot of damage taken by Life. Meteor still going strong. Drake secured. LGD, I think they wanted a little bit more, but they just can't close the gap.
I'm loving this game. Both these teams have been so close to the teamfight execution. It's been LGD favored, it's been FPX favored, it's been going back and forth. And now we're at the point where Sol hasn't been claimed by either team. FPX delayed that for another Dragon spawn, and FPX, they've been giving us as good as they've taken at this point. For a couple of the fights before this, it's felt like the range has ended up winning out. This time it's the engage which does. Burdol walks up a little too close to the fog of war. The Hex Flash comes out of nowhere. The Life has had a difficult game so far, finds a huge crucial pick onto a damage source at the start of the fight. Meteor very nearly gets himself a game-changing ult. It does burn down Care with his double burn items, but it's you can see how dangerous it is for LGD to walk too close to the engage. It really is a battle of range on one side, engage on the other.
And I tell you what, we talked about this just after champ selects. The fact that you really can't face check with this composition from LGD. Like, who on earth is willing to walk forwards? JinJiao survives all of 0.2 seconds if he's the one face checking, and he's the tankiest on the team. It does become difficult if LGD lose control of the map. They haven't done that just yet. They have been the ones in control. But Life doing a good job of just finding a pocket of shadow to work with, and Burdol steps a little too close. Now, 17-21 on the scoreboard, by the way. This is my kind of series. As a play-by-play, these are my dream games. I just want 3 games of this, please.
Yeah, and as a color gas, look, there are 2 kinds of League of Legends. You have your bespoke, low kills, but high rotational ability and lots of towers and objectives being traded out in intricate map movement. That is your gourmet. This kind of game here has bits of that, but this realistically is just your burger. This is your fast food League of Legends, which sometimes is exactly what you need. It's comfort food. It's enjoyable for the soul. You need one of these every so often where both these teams are just throwing each other at the enemy team, just trying to outplay in the big team fights.
It's going to be down to who can make that hero move, who can have their big moment. I feel like Burdol has had an interesting game, hasn't he? Because he's had a couple of really big moments. He's also been caught out a couple of times, and ultimately ended up 1 and 5, not been able to sweep up many kills, but he is sweeping up towers right now. And Haichao gonna fly across the map. Burdol gets stunned for 5 seconds, but Merc treads clean.
Oh, no!
Wait, the minions finish the top before the TP can come on through. That's TP on cooldown for Care. ZDC has his, but the rest of LGD are just gonna buy time. That's gonna be an inhib, surely. What, he backs away?
I mean,
he doesn't take it?
I mean, he just sat there trying to pull FPX across the map. FPX looked for a prayer. They look to pray towards that arrow, but all it ends up being is a sinner's prayer. He's on the Nexus, FPX. You can't trade mid lane prior for a Nexus.
Oh my days, Burdol finding the value on this Jace pick, and that's asleep. Is True Shot Barrage available? No. Solar Flare comes into the fight as JinJiao flashes to safety. Life with a bomb on his head, and he's burning. Care next to go down as Life finally falls, and Haichao gets himself some resets. MilkyWay falls, Deokdam falls, Haichao knocking them all down as Kepler looks to snipe. Burdol escapes to the bottom side, and LGD stamp their mark on this series.
FunPlus Phoenix look for the arrow, they look for the teleport, they find neither and are left wanting. LGD have bled for this win, but it will be theirs all the same. In this matchup with 2 teams trying to find their place within the Ascension group, LGD strike first.
Care will go down to the bomb. ZDZ, last man standing, but he's not standing any longer. LGD with an absolute banger of a game 1. Show that they deserve to be in Group Ascent.
Ah, that late game macro movement, trying to use the arrow teleport onto it, but the grub buff DOTing down the turret, the minions taking down the turret is helped too. Leaves FPX in just the worst situation where they don't have that arrow, they don't have that teleport to bring someone across the map beyond that point. FPX slaps in that late game. It was a back and forth game. FPX had some moments where their engage determined the fight rather than the poke and the range on the other side. LGD walk away with a bloody game 1 victory.
Yeah, those Baron fights, man. Just the back-to-back-to-back-to-back Baron fights with barely any Barons actually taken. Absolute quality here. We're going to jump into a break, then we're back with game